Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Hill in the Dark Grove by Liam Higginson. This is a book coming out August 11th, 2026 from Hogarth. It's a horror literary fiction. I received this book from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. Abounding with creeping menace, The Hill in the Dark Grove is a moody literary horror that also brings in a surprising amount of warmth. What's it about? Carwyn and Rian, the last in a long family line of sheep farmers, are living out a brutal year on their hillside farm deep in the mountains of of North Wales. Let's just say that. When Carwyn stumbles across a stone circle and some sort of burial mound in one of the fields on their land, he quickly develops an obsession. His wife, Rian, meanwhile, is confronted with the growing realization that the man with whom she shares her life and home is slowly becoming a frightening stranger. As the harsh mountain winter closes in, Rian finds herself alone with her increasingly peculiar husband, the mountains, and the looming megalithic stones. This book has so many amazing things going for it, but there was one thing that's keeping me from gushing. I'm going to outline all the great stuff first, but you should totally read this if you love litfic horror. You definitely should. This book has a fantastic tone. Every page, even flashbacks to the past that aren't related to the horror aspects, are dripping with a dark, ichor-like creepiness. The book relies heavily on you expecting something terrible to happen. So if this is the sort of horror that's up your alley, versus blood and guts, you'll like this. You'll love this probably. I really enjoyed this aspect. It's not quick-paced, but this serves to heighten the weight of the creep factor. I thought the pacing was actually great because it slowly builds and builds and builds and builds. The writing is beautiful, especially the descriptions of the landscape. I've never been to Wales. In fact, of the UK, I've only been to Ireland, but I was able to vividly picture it based on this, and this book really makes me want to go to Wales. The Welsh folklore and language dotted here and there was entirely new to me, but I found it interesting compared to feeling like I was on the periphery or missing something. It really added a layer of realism to the story. The use of metaphors, all circling back to the landscape for the most part, created evocative imagery. It's just beautifully written. I can't believe this book is a debut, to be completely honest. Even though this is an arc and some of these might be changed or removed from the final, I just want to share two lines just to show you examples of how beautiful the language is. The bay was a shining sheet of polished metal, a mirror for the brightening sky. And this one, a pet was borrowed happiness that someday had to be repaid in grief. Definitely true. Tied to this, there are some flashbacks in the novel, giving it some historical fiction flair, and those were transportive and really immersive. What's really interesting about this book is that while it's a horror, it's also a deep look at a relationship between an older couple. We get flashbacks from the major moments of their life together, which gives the growing menace a deeper weight. You really feel like you know these two, so when Carwyn starts to shift in personality, we the reader notice it just as much as his wife does. I really loved their dynamic. It felt so realistic to a couple that has been together forever, but still loves each other. And their struggles with the farm, their health, their isolation, even the Welsh politics that kind of exist on the edges are really easy to understand. You really sympathize with them and you really hope that they make it through. You see what they love about their life, but also the harshness of it. Also, there's a dog, Ira. I loved her. No notes on Ira. She's great. The book also does something really interesting with perspective that I found super cool. I can't really say what it is because it kind of spoils something, but I was just like, when it happened, I was like, oh, interesting. The actual horror parts of the novel are few and far between, and more so kind of gruesome, realistic stuff that adds the ominous tone versus body or psychological aspects. Like it'll be like a dead animal with a bunch of maggots in it, that kind of stuff, like versus like kind of someone hurting someone else. But these instances are hard hitting when they arrive because they tie so well with kind of the setting and the story. Most of the book falls into folk horror, I would say, but there is a scene that reminded me heavily of The Shining. Along with the flashbacks, there are snippets from further back in history not related to the couple, which serves to explain the horror aspect, kind of what its deal is. Though, not as much as I would have liked. The ending for me was a little bit unsatisfactory. It's very open-ended, like extremely open-ended, and I was hoping for a bit more specificity. It didn't really explain to me what was going on. I mentioned King a few moments ago with The Shining, and this book felt to me like some of his work in that way, in that it's more about the journey than the destination. Some people might like that, might like a really open-ended ending, but I was hoping for a bit more clarity, just a little bit. Overall, though, a really excellent novel. 5 stars. I still can't believe this is a debut. I absolutely love this. I will totally be buying a copy of this one. And I will be going to Wales someday. Though I think in the book they really don't like the tourists, but I promise I'll be a nice tourist. I won't trample along through your farms, and I'll be good. I promise. Thank you so much to Nick Alley and the publisher for the e-arc. I really, really appreciate it.